Yo, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Brawler on the Brain on this Wednesday, the 19th of May, 2021. It's me, Tim Wilms, here in Melbourne, and we've got Jazz, as always, in the Victorian borderlands. How's your week been?
Very good, thank you, mate. Yeah, busy always. Got the gym and the family, so trying to stay active. Released a new music video today, which is all been a bit of excitement. So going well. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm well. It's I have to say it's sort of we're in the middle of autumn still, but it was sort of a nice cool week rather than an absolute chill cold one at the moment. But yeah, I've been enjoying, well, as I keep saying, a close to normal life as I have been in this past 14 months. I think when they said it was 14 days to flatten the curve, I think they misspoke. It was 14 months to flatten the curve.
Yeah, well, I don't think there was ever a curve to flatten, so they're just they're going to continue inflating that as much as they please.
Oh, there was certainly our individual rights and choice to flatten. That was that certainly proved to be true.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So, how's the big news of the week? Sorry, I just had to put that away. Blair broke today that Neil has handed himself in and decided to do his sentence. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got it back to front, Tim. We're going to go on my case first, but we'll go there next.
And you've introduced the topic. So yeah, Blair on his Telegram this afternoon told his followers, around 7,000 followers he's got on Telegram, that he got a call from the Melbourne Assessment Prison that Neil had decided to withdraw his appeal and just serve out the month in prison rather than live by the bail conditions set out in his appeal, which basically gagged his speech completely. Wasn't allowed to post anywhere on social media. So he decided in the end that it was just worth to cop the month rather than, because, as we've previously said, the bail conditions are a punishment in themselves.
Yeah, well, that's right, and that exactly was his concern. He didn't want to be silenced. He knew it was going to take a couple of years to get to court, and he's no use to anybody that way. Publicly, and what he does with his activism, if he allows him to silence him. So it was a very courageous decision. I think that video that he was convicted of in itself proved how big that man's balls are. He walked into a group of 500 Arabs, by himself with a megaphone and told them exactly what he thought. And, he's done things like that many times. And this time, Neil's never been to prison before. He's been fortunate in that respect. But he decided that, instead of being silenced for 2 years to wait and see what happens, he would just, stand up and do his time like a man. So, I think he would have won his appeal had he decided to go that way, but it was a lot of expensive.
It's Victoria. It would have been held in the County Court of Victoria, and we saw how well Blair's appeal over the conviction over the mock beheading stunt went in the county court.
Yeah, well, that's right. So there's with no guarantee of, even if he hadn't had his conviction overturned, he may have had a lenient sentence, no jail time. But to him, that wasn't worth the 2 years of being silenced for. So, I'm sure Neil will be fine in there. He's a big boy and he knows how to take care of himself. So, him and Tom are both in the same prison at the moment, and they'll
I'm not sure. We're not sure that they are because
we are sure. Yeah. Tom's in the map. So, we can confirm that. Yeah, so Tom's in the same prison. But I'd say that
Blair today said that he hadn't heard anything about where Tom has been kept in remand, speculated that maybe he was being held on remand at a local police station.
Yeah, I have spoke to Blair since that was posted, So Tom is in the map. We're not sure where though in the map. I'd say with his platform at the moment, he'll be in isolation. So not protection, where he would ask for protection and be put with sex offenders or anything like that. But because of the high profile, they'll force him into isolation, which is worse. It'd be, I'm assuming it'd be 22 to 23 hours a day lockdown. And that would be, that would be where he is. So I don't think they are in the same jail, but I don't think they will get to see each other. Neil's just in the mainstream population, so he's okay.
I mean, if Andy Nolch survived the first half of last year in prison, that was for breaching his corrections order, and Andy's you've I'm not sure if you've met Andy Nolch or chatted with him on an episode of the Uncockables, but he's quite the sort of skinny lad, but he survived. Wasn't traumatized.
Yeah, I like Andy. I spoke to him. I spoke to him on a couple podcasts with Neil, with you two, I think. But yeah, I haven't met him in person, but he's a character. So I enjoyed the chats that we did have, and yeah, I'm sure that if, like I said, if he can survive, Neil can. Everybody does it different. It really depends. I've seen people that go in and they might be little and unassuming and they don't really know anything, but they're likable and they do just fine. And then I've seen people that you would assume are going to do fine and they've gone in, and somebody that is a little bit bigger or a little bit stronger than them, that's been there for a little bit longer, doesn't take a liking to them, and that's about as far as that goes. So it really depends. You can never pick these things. It all depends. It's a very volatile place, so not a lot happens, but it changes quickly when it does. So, but I'm sure, I'm sure the boys will be fine. They'll, they know how to take care of themselves. And like I said, Tom probably kept from, everybody anyway. I don't think he'll be able to associate with anybody, which is, my brother spent 18 months in solitary confinement after the riots at the remand centre. And it's, that in itself takes its toll on somebody. So, I'd like to think that they would give Tom some time in general plot, but I don't think so. So, we'll see what happens. But I think Neil will cruise through his time. Neil's one of the funniest people I know. He's very quick off the cuff, and yeah, he'll be fine. That sort of thing gets you by well in there. If you've got a good sense of humour and you can laugh, that generally helps. So, yeah, I don't think Neil's got much to worry about.
You're nearly falling off the screen there, Jarrad, when you're talking.
Am I?
Yeah, you're like leaning like that.
Oh, well, that's going to happen.
Hello to everyone in both the Unshackled and Joshibi YouTube chat. Last week, our return to YouTube, the episode remained, which is, well, it's an improvement on where we have been with this program. Both our respective channels were on 2 strikes, and we've posted subsequent content since. So, yeah, we're staying alive on YouTube.
Well, as long as you don't keep, talking about, medical misinformation, we should be fine.
Yes. Now, also, Blair in his Twitter remarks mentioned that the National Socialist Network, they've remained tight-lipped about what exactly went down with this alleged armed robbery that Tom took part in, with a ski mask, smashing a car window, and taking the occupant's phone with a knife. There's different theories going around online. When there is an information vacuum, we won't know. There won't be anything on the record until he next appears at court at August 2. I know that the National Socialist Network and Thomas Sewell Telegram pages have been very quiet. They posted some offbeat content today.
Yeah, look, I haven't kept up on what they've posted so far, so I can't really comment on that. Yeah, they haven't got, like you said, the facts about Tom's case aren't known yet. So until they are, there's not a whole lot to say, I suppose.
Yes, true, Margot. We've got to use we try to use coded language when we talk about C's and V's.
Yeah, well, you got to be careful these days.
Now, so we have both Tom and Neil in the clink at the moment. So that's two Australian nationalist figures imprisoned at the moment. Though you avoided going to prison Monday when you appeared again at the Wodonga Magistrates Court. But what is it? I found it hard to follow. The police were trying for an intervention order against you.
Yeah, they were. So the police tried to press an intervention order against me on behalf of somebody else. The person that they wanted to put it on, the person that put it on had never approached the police in the first place. The police had contacted them. Like I said in there, on behalf of a Green senator who requested that they investigate in the matter. So yeah, it was never going to stand. They're cunts. I told them they were cunts in the courthouse. I know you don't like the C word, but there's one there for you.
That's another C word.
They basically they come up to me while I was in the courthouse and asked me if I still contended to contest the matter. And when I informed them that they did, they said, "Oh, in that case, we're going to withdraw the charges." And I said, "You're a fucking cunt." And she said, "Excuse me." She was shocked. I said, "So you come up and asked if I was going to plead guilty or not? And if I pled guilty, you were still going to go through with the case?" And she started to stutter. And she goes, "I'm just trying to help you, Mr. Searby." I said, "No, you're fucking not." I said, "You're trying to perpetuate the bullshit system that's going on." I said, "You know I'm not guilty and you know there's no evidence against me. And yet you're still trying to get the, still trying, hey, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. That wasn't me that broke any news. So the secret was safe with me." But yeah, so they hoped that I would just nod to the case, which a lot of people, tend to do when they don't understand the law. But I knew they didn't have a whole lot of evidence, and I had done nothing wrong. So it was a political case to begin with. The fact is now that they're still refusing to release any of my property that they took, in that raid. So they took my laptop, my iPad, 3 phones, Jimmy's phone, my wife's phone. They took everything. So, I've been trying to get that back, and currently I'm getting nothing. But we can't release it without a certain signature. That signature's from a detective in the counter-terrorism task force, and he's not even on that case anymore. So he's been deployed onto some other mission.
You don't have any recourse at the moment. The police can just keep it for however long that they want. So. I'm just gonna look at this from a bird's eye view. So a group of people came into your home with weapons and took all of your stuff. That would normally be called an armed robbery. That's what Tom's being charged with.
Well, Tom's is nowhere near as serious as that. That would be robbery with a whole lot of things, including aggravated assault, aggravated burglary, intent to cause injury. There would be a whole list of assault of charges that would go with that. So, yeah, I've lodged a complaint to the the PSC, whatever it is, through the police. But I don't expect much traction from that. Just trying, I think if I lodge a complaint, maybe it'll give them a kick in the ass to give my stuff back. But that doesn't seem to have happened. I have no idea, what to do next. They basically told me if I wanted to go any further, I'd have to hire a lawyer and proceed from there. So, it's basically daylight robbery. They've taken my stuff in an effort to silence me, and they won't give it back.
Find something on you.
Yeah, well, if they were going to find something, they would have found it by now. They've had it for 6 months. There's nothing on there. My daughter's schoolwork's on there. All my business is on there. All the stuff from my gyms, from my fighters. All our paperwork is on there. So they have all our bank details. Everything's on there. You know what it's like when you have a phone and a computer. Your whole life's on there. So it's it's one of them things. We'll keep going through the process and trying to get it back. But we're not crossing our fingers at this stage.
Maybe they'll try to get you on some dodgy tax stuff if it's got all your business documents there, because that's how they got Al Capone in the end, not for any bootlegging, but for tax evasion.
I don't pay tax. I've never done a tax return, so they can try. Yeah, I know my way around the tax, the tax system pretty well, and I don't pay tax, so they can try if they want, but yeah, they're not going to have any luck there.
Margot has put up, maybe Blair going to end up in the clink too. Well, Blair is facing a legit bullshit assault charge, which he's. You actually didn't speak to him about it on your Hard Knock show with him last Friday, but he's spoken about it on Telegram. Blair was just going about his shopping at a supermarket in Frankston, and some and Antifa soy boy recognized him and went mental, calling him a fascist, threatening him. And so if someone's going absolutely mental at you and shouting at you at a place, well, Blair just shoved him away, and then he did this Antifa basically a soccer dive, and claimed that he was assaulted. Originally, the local police weren't going to press charges, but this Antifa supporter, even though they believe that all cops are bastards, wrote to the assistant commissioner demanding that Blair be charged, and so they've decided to charge Blair on this total BS assault charge.
Yeah, look, there was a few things that me and Blair didn't get to talk about, but as you know, we try to keep the show to an hour, so hopefully we can go over that next time, and he can say his piece, whatever he has to say about it. But it's obvious it won't go anywhere, and it's a beat up. The fact
you hope not.
Well,
never say never in Victoria. We lost you there for a moment, Jarrad. Or is that me? Yeah, I'm still on the screen. Now, I guess since Jarrad's off at the moment, this is a reminder you can interact with us on Entropy. If you've watched other Unshackled productions before, you can, by joining through the Entropy link and logging in, ask a question of us, or even better yet, send through a super chat. Jarrad, try logging off and then logging back on, if you can hear me. Yeah, it's going to come back on. Can you do live streams from jail? No, not to my knowledge. But there have been prisoners who have called up talkback radio stations using the prison phone. So there can be a phone. Somebody can phone from jail, and it can be put to air. With Jarrad going to end up there too in the clink, Margot, means what's going on? Well, there's a clear pattern at the moment, isn't there, Margot? Christo says, if you don't do tax, you're less likely to get stuffed up there. Probably the most famous tax evasion persecution was of Paul Hogan, the Crocodile Dundee star. Jazz, you back?
Yeah, mate, that's Jimmy's fault. His phone's stuffing up. So hopefully I'll get my stuff back one day soon, and we won't have these issues.
Yeah, because as you said, it's like 5 to 10 grand. I mean, these are expensive bits of equipment.
Yeah, if $5,000 is being conservative, that's just that's between the pad and the laptop. That's without including the phones. That's just the iPad and the laptop. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but what can you do? They leave you no sort of avenue of recourse.
How did you find your overall discussion with Blair? Because it was in the evening, or in the evening of the day of the NSN raid and Tom being put on remand.
Oh yeah, look, that was bad timing. Neither me nor Blair had any idea what was happening.
Why was it bad timing? I mean, it allowed for a timely discussion.
Well, I disagree. I think it was bad because we didn't know the facts, and we still don't. You know, I think now we know more than we did then. But that day we had no idea if Tom was getting bail, what was going on, anything like that. So you know that was bad timing. But I enjoyed chatting to Blair. He's good. He's a good guy. I knew he would be because you know him and Neil are good friends, and Neil's a good mate of mine. Anyone who's all right with him's all right with me. So I had no, I had no. Oh, yeah, no worries about mine and Blair's conversation being quite good. So, yeah, I look forward to doing it again. He's a very wise man. So it's good to get his opinion on things. He's I like having Tom and Blair have a varying opinion, and I like them both. I think they're both necessary, and I think having both them opinions is a good thing. So, I look forward to doing it again.
We don't know how all these latest developments are going to impact the final report of the federal parliament's extremism inquiry. Apparently, all supplementary evidence has to be in by Friday, the 21st of May. There's no other hearings scheduled. There's been no further submissions that have been published other than the supplementary ones from all the government organizations and academic centers that already had a submission, but saw Christina Keneally, who asked most of the questions at the extremism hearings, posting about the raid and arrest of Tom, saying, "Oh, the committee heard evidence about far right extremism on the rise here. Look, here's the proof." I'm paraphrasing her.
Yeah, look, they're definitely going to try to use, both Tom and Neil as bait. They use whatever they can, but, it just shows you again how politicised the police force is. So, I think that these arrests work perfectly in time, with this inquiry. So, you can't trust the government and what they do. So, whether it's coincidence or not that they happen to end up in jail at the same time as this inquiry is going through. We've never had two of Australia's most, prominent activists in jail before. Even when Blair was in jail, it was before his prominence, really.
Oh, yeah, it was in his youth when he was unknown.
Yeah, so, and so this is unheard of in this country, really. We haven't been in this situation before, and I think they'll try to make the most of it, and they'll paint it in a bad light like they always do. They're painting Tom in a horrible light now because that's what they can do. Tom hasn't got any recourse or any way of contacting anybody to say any different. And Neil, I'm sure now that the news has been broken, won't be painted in a great light, over the coming few days once the news, get onto it and start to
I'll see if they will, because I know that they monitor all of the Patriot channels on Telegram.
Look, Blair's got a massive audience, so there's no doubt that
Blair broke it. Like it didn't leak from anywhere. Blair basically had an exclusive with his Telegram post. I wonder if say Slack Bastard or Tom Tanuki would want to repost this update, given that it came from Blair. Their articles and blogs these days read more like gossip columns. It seems like they're more like Perez Hilton and Richard Reed, those flamboyant Hollywood celebrity gossip people appear on those morning programs, like they're editors of No Idea magazine or Coward's Day.
Yeah, look, they'll talk shit, no doubt. They'll write their gossip pieces. Slash Bastard, Mark, we'll just call him Mark. I'll be fair to him. He doesn't write a bad article. His writing isn't bad. That Tom Tanuki is rubbish. Like I read that last article he wrote. He wrote that I have Jewish family members in the article. I don't know if his research is bad or if he just makes things up. But
he also thinks that Bruce Pascoe is an Aboriginal. That's how knows about how much Tom Tanuki would know about genealogy.
he's, that's outrageous, and it's not written well. Like I wrote a few articles for the Unshackled, and I have never done that before, and they were much better than what Tom wrote. So
they had a lot of bit of an editing of yours truly to make sure they were up to standard.
They did get a little bit of an overview, but they didn't need too much in the end. Regardless, that they were better. He's writing rubbish, and I'm sure someone's editing it for him. But so at least Slack Bastard is at least got some talent in that field. So I'll be interested to see what they write about Neil. I'm sure it'll be nothing flattering, but Neil can't be denied that he stood up like a man. So he's done what most wouldn't.
And now you made a point about how our politicians are liars, and well, they said, well, as I said in my introduction, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and you'll eventually get all of your freedoms and civil liberties back. We're still waiting. What are you doing there?
The fucking phone went off. Yeah, I don't think that they're ever coming back, mate. They're now talking about an interstate passport to travel around Australia.
Let's play what Scott Morrison said. This was in an interview with Chris Uhlmann of Channel 9.
That would require state premiers to have the power to stop people crossing their borders who haven't been vaccinated, wouldn't it?
It would have to be done in concert with the state and territories who actually prevent Australians moving from one state to another consistent with their public health orders. Those public health orders that are done at a state level are the instrument that is used legally to prevent Australians moving from one state to another.
Pretty big reason to get vaccinated.
I think it is.
Now, currently, there's no border closures anywhere. Australians can move freely between states and territories, but there are those border passes or declarations or permits that you have to get depending on the state to come into Victoria. You have to get through the Services Victoria site or app a border crossing permit. You're exempt from it, Jazz, because you're in a border territory, local government area there. But Scott Morrison there was basically saying, well, you're going to need, well, he's basically saying in perpetuity that you'll be trapped in your state unless you have the vaccine passport. I'm sure that this was just some sort of thought bubble in the process of the interview.
Yeah, look, maybe it was, but the fact that that's a thought in the first place shows where their intentions lay and what direction we're moving. So, whether they try to pass it now or later, it is something that they're going to try to pass, and it's a worry. Whether it's interstate or whether they just make it for, it's already, we see it with the QR codes now. There's places if you don't.
Yeah, there was. After the COVID scare last week with that gentleman who caught COVID in hotel quarantine in South Australia, supposedly the safest place where you'd be kept safe if you've come from overseas, keep the community safe. He didn't infect anyone else at all, but there was a huge outcry, especially from conservatives on Sky News and in the News Corp papers that not enough people had checked in with the QR code at that Indian restaurant where the case dined for 3 hours, and that on the train to and from that Indian restaurant, the people on the train with him, not many of them registered their Mikey cards, so they couldn't be tracked down. So basically, they were criticizing the Andrews government for not tracking people enough and not having enough of a police state mentality when it comes to enforcing QR code check-ins.
Yeah, look, who uses them? I purposely don't take my phone or any devices a lot of places. So, I had
They
to
have
get the.
like it says on the Victorian government QR code website that if you don't have like a smartphone, then they have to provide you with pen and paper.
Yeah, well, there you go. They at the courthouse, they just got security to sign me in with their devices. I find that's what they do at a lot of places.
Yeah, that's another option there. Signed you in on their like iPad registration thing. But
Yeah.
the conservative commentators, they seem to love this QR system and want businesses to be overzealous as possible when making sure their patrons are checking in. And the Victorian government, in response to the lack of QR code compliance, introduced a new fine. That's the Victorian government's always response, a new fine, a $1,652 on-the-spot fine for businesses who are lax with their QR code enforcement.
Yeah, well, that's another fine that people won't have to pay, so they should definitely look at that. But it's more intimidation tactics. That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to intimidate us into, abiding by the rules. It's always punishment, forms of punishment that they keep increasing. So they'll keep increasing probably the price, and then they'll just threaten to shut your businesses down in general if you don't have a QR code. And it'll go to vaccines. Next, it'll be if you're vaccinated or not. So.
Well, in South Australia, where the Victorian case originated, in that state, it's you have to QR code check in everywhere, including in supermarkets, petrol stations, local butcher, and individuals can be fined if they don't QR check in. This article appeared in one of the South Australian papers because their police commissioner over there, Grant Stevens, announced a QR code blitz. At least 3 businesses in Adelaide's eastern suburbs have been hit with fines over QR code check-in breaches. Retailers reported that 2 stores at Burnside Village and a butcher at Norwood were fined yesterday by police for failing to encourage customers to check in. 2 shoppers were also fined and another 50 reportedly warned. The police crackdown is part of Operation Trace, or at least it's appropriately named, aimed at encouraging customers and businesses to use the state government's COVID-safe QR check-in system, which has declined 20% in use over the past few months. And because the check-ins have declined, this is when politicians and the media get to lecture us, saying, I think a sense of complacency has gotten into us. This pandemic is not over. You need to check in and wear your mask on public transport. Fines for individuals are $1,060 for individuals and $5,060 for businesses. It also has here a comment from South Australian Liberal Senator Alex Antic, said fines were unreasonable for a state with no community cases of the virus. Fining businesses in this manner feeds a growing perception these emergency powers have given too much power and too much license to authorities.
Yeah, and look, now did you see that the radio stations are all starting to advertise free giveaways with the vaccine here now? So
I haven't heard in Australia. I do know that the Ohio governor in the United States is having a vaccine lottery, and what was it? Bill de Blasio, the New York mayor, was offering free burger and fries for vaccines.
Yeah, no, Jimmy pulled up today in the car. He jumped out the car as he got out. He said, I fucking hate the radio. And I said, what's wrong? And he went on to explain. He was listening to it on the way over. They were giving away, they're giving away prizes. He didn't say what they were, but they're giving away prizes for vaccines now. They, I also heard, Dave Hughes. The other day they went into I very rarely listen to the radio, but when I do, I listened to it the other day. Hughesy was on, and they gave him the vaccine in studio. So they didn't. They basically gave him the vaccine and then went to an ad, whether they gave it to him or not. But they didn't stick around for the reaction. They just gave it to him and went straight to an ad. So, the Australian media is starting to push it hard now.
Maybe a side effect of Dave Hughes getting the vaccine is that he might speak normally, because now he has this voice. The side effect might be that he actually talks like normally.
Nah, look, Hughes' voice was iconic. He used to be okay a long time ago when he was a stand-up comedian before he got into the mainstream media. He's fucked now. So, but that voice, that used to be funny. Now it's just fucking annoying. So it's a great loss.
Several years as a host on the Project TV show. I mean, it fries your brain just watching that, let alone be a participant on it.
Yeah. Well, that's right, man. Even when that show first came out, it got a lot more left wing over the time. It used to just be funny. They tried to make it funny, but obviously the climate changed, the agenda changed, and basically the whole fucking world changed. So, Husey was part of that.
We've ticked over to 3 million doses in Australia, and I noticed that there's a lot more articles reporting on vaccine hesitancy and we don't want to be like Taiwan and Singapore. They were COVID-free like Australia. Now they're in lockdown, wink, wink. If you have vaccine hesitancy, you could be back in a lockdown.
Yeah, well, they're going to push it any way they can. So these are thinly veiled threats, but they won't be so thin soon. So it'll ramp up quickly.
There was also a report of a nurse in Melbourne who only administered a dose yesterday, but the thing is, because it's not every Australian is eligible at the moment. It's only those over 50s. And those under 50 with pre-existing condition and frontline workers. So if you want to get the numbers up again and want to bitch less about slow vaccine take-up, why not let anyone who wants it, regardless of age, take it? I mean, these mass vaccination hubs are empty. It's way quicker to get a vaccine if you want it than to get a COVID test. Why not just let anybody get it?
Yeah, well, look, I'm definitely not promoting a vaccine for anybody, but we also have to be very careful what we say, because otherwise we're going to have this show removed. So I'm not going to say what I really think either.
But what I just said was a standard talking point. It shouldn't get us into trouble.
No, what you said didn't, but what I will say will. So I won't say too much.
We also saw over in the US, the unmasking is happening with their Center for Disease Control saying that if you're vaccinated, you can take your mask off, or it's safe for you to take your mask off, because there was not really an incentive to get the V if you still had to wear your mask and social distancing. And a lot of the remaining states dropped their mask mandates, and all the big retailers there, like Costco and what is it that Joe's Place, lifting their mask requirements and saying we're not going to check if our unmasked customers have had the vaccine, because that's just unenforceable. And sure, you shared it on your Telegram. Hillary Clinton, she tweeted, "It's pretty simple. Get vaccinated, get your life back."
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, Hillary, she wants to get 2 shots, but she's not talking this time about 2 shots to the back of the head in like one of those famous Clinton suicides. She's talking 2 vaccine shots in the arm.
Nah, not like Seth Rich or anything like that.
Oh, there's a whole list. Vince Foster, the Clinton body count. It's such a large list.
It is. Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time.
Is Hillary still relevant? Well, for some people, your life depends on relevancy. But over in the UK, they've got they had another relaxation on May the 17th, but their big, when they're getting rid of all restrictions, is on June 21. But I noticed that Sky News over in the UK is ramping up about the spread of the Indian variant in towns like Bolton and Blackburn, where a lot of Indians live, saying, "Oh, there's not much vaccine take up there, or I could delay restrictions. Localized lockdowns can't be ruled out. Still, they're still wanting to put out the pandemic porn, as I call it, because they've probably seen what's happened over in the US, where basically the Biden administration has basically said, okay, like, we're gonna get properly on the back path to normal, and the mainstream media over in other nations is like, oh no, like, we won't be able to scare people as much.
Yeah. Well, it's the same story, isn't it? It's, the same thing that we've basically been talking about for months. They're just going around in circles. It's all the same. It's the same thing. They're just
how come Indian variant is now not racist? I mean, the UK press is talking about this Indian variant all the time. Where, what is it? In Australia, if you want to protect against the Indian variant, and we had the Morrison government have that 2-week pause on flights, then that's racist. And they've because there's no one in Australia dying from COVID anymore, they're reporting on the Australians, in inverted commas, dying of COVID in India. So apparently there's 3 Indian Australians who have died with COVID over in India, and apparently it's our fault because of our racist travel ban.
Yeah, look, some people, the mainstream media may call them Australian, but I never will.
Well, all the mainstream media sort of refers to them as like Australian citizens, but as I've said before, dual citizens are allowed back in, and Australian residents who aren't even citizens are allowed back in. So, and Australian residents, they're not Australians because, well, they don't hold citizenship. They hold citizenship of another country there. But yeah, it was actually this whole, because this is the only time that border closures have been criticised with the Indian travel ban. And Paul Joseph Watson mentioned that the best way to defeat vaccine passports is to say that they're racist, because apparently requiring ID to vote over in the US is racist. So if you need ID to go about your daily life, and you claim that non-white communities don't have much ID, then vaccine passports are racist.
Well, that may be the one way of holding it back for a while, but I think it's coming in no matter what they say.
And now, talking about a different kind of jab needles is, well, heroin injecting, because in North Richmond in Melbourne, that's where Victoria's first and currently only managed heroin injecting room is. This was lobbied for by Fiona Patten of the Reason Party, who, well, she has a great influence over Dan Andrews and his government. And now she's convinced them that another one should be opened up in Melbourne. Their site was originally going to be the Queen Victoria Market, but it's broken this week that it's going to be near Flinders Street Station. And Fiona Patten said that she wants some more in the suburbs, in Footscray, St Kilda, and Dandenong as well.
Yeah, look, they'll bring them in there. They put the first one in Richmond right next door to a kindergarten,
Primary school.
Primary school, sorry, yeah. So, and it's a fucking bad area. I used to hang around there when I was young. I used to try to find.
Well, that's why they probably put it there.
Yeah, well, they perpetually, well, they just let it go there. They have drug dealers standing on the corner. They have police standing 20 or 30 meters from them, watching them sell drugs, and they do nothing. So, it's sort of expected in that area. It happens every day.
What happened before the injecting room was there?
Yeah, well, it's the Vietnamese community. So the Vietnamese community in this country run the heroin. So they have whole units in the North Richmond flats there that are Vietnamese units. Nobody but them big high rises full of Viets. If you're not Viet, you can't live in them. in a couple of them. They're the 107 and 1010 blocks or something like that. And, you know, just downstairs out the front of these units, they sell drugs all the time. They openly do it. So, you know, the police don't do anything. They don't stop it. They just let it happen. You know, there's drug. If they wanted to stop crime, they could arrest any Asian they see standing there because they're dealing heroin. If you walk down there,
racist.
Hey, yeah. Well, you could just walk through there, kid. If you walk through there and you make eye contact with an Asian, they'll start nodding their head. That's just them trying to sell drugs. It's that easy. That's how it happens. So, you know, they're all over the place. They let it happen. I don't know why, but they do. You can see the junkies all over the place when you walk around there. You see them sitting on the side of the road. You see them fucking, you know, scratching as they're walking up and down the street. So, you know, they're moving that. Now, Dandenong's a fucking bad place for it too. Dandenong is full of heroin, and it has been since, you know, they testing.
Well, I think that's why they want to have that Fiona Patton's proposed an injecting room there. And also, apparently, they're
testing in certain areas.
Yeah,
so they took that. So that was the 90s. So since the 90s, that has been a heroin area. You know, there's different places. Like the government has kept heroin in Dandenong, in Footscray, you know, in Sunshine, in these places. So, you know, it doesn't spread out into the outer suburbs as much. Obviously, there's heroin addicts everywhere and methadone addicts and stuff everywhere. But there's the culture of it is kept to them sort of 3 suburbs in Melbourne. I'm sure they have other suburbs in other cities, but I'm not sure what they are. But, you know, obviously the Cross, everyone knows the Cross. But in Melbourne, it's Dandenong, it's Footscray, Sunshine. But Sunshine's more, they have big Asian dealers out there. You know, when you're talking about just gutter and street crime, Dandenong and North Richmond are the 2 places. Footscray's gone African now, so it's not a big as issue as it used to be. But you know, they're basically fucked, them areas. They're not great. Dandenong is the most multicultural hub on earth. So there's more languages spoken in Dandenong than any other place on earth. So that's, you know, that should, you know, shows you, you know, what you can expect the caliber of the people to be there. Mainly, they're not great.
Well, what's your? I know that you have a very liberal view on drugs. I mean, you've confessed that you have a bong before every show. I have
more than one.
I'm a libertarian on the drug war. I mean, the war on drugs has completely failed. For all the millions and billions of drugs that have been stopped coming into the country, there's still all these users with destruction and that. And so we certainly need to look at, I think, legalizing most drugs. But for me, supervised heroin injecting rooms, while it's still illicit, the drug itself, it's a really weird, I would say, like point to meet at. So you're still going to have this war on drugs, but you're going to have these supervised injecting rooms with illicit substances being used. It's a contradiction.
Yeah, look, I am a bit of a libertarian on the drug policy. I don't know how I would describe myself on the drug policy these days. It's a very sticky question. I don't think people should be locked up for, like, you know, it's no lie that I smoke pot. You know what I mean? I've done a bit of coke on occasion. I won't lie. But, you know, when I was young, I used to go to night parties and nightclubs and stuff like that. I used to do a little bit of coke. I've tried Eckies before. I don't mind some psychedelics. So, you know, I think people shouldn't be locked up for using these drugs. To be honest, I think a life without any drug use would be fucking boring, you know. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, selling heroin and stuff like that, it's a really hard thing to manage. I don't think there's ever a place for injecting rooms, you know, ever. I think people, if they want to do drugs, they should be fucking, you know, junkies. I have a problem with junkies, no matter what. There's an issue with junkies. You know, there's people who use heroin.
Like alcoholics, we'd have issue with.
There's a problem with alcoholics too. Yeah, there's a problem with
is legal.
Yeah, there's a major problem with alcoholics, and I don't think that that should be condoned either.
Addictions as well. Gambling is legal, but gambling addictions can be so destructive, just like, say, alcoholism or drug addiction.
They're all forms of weakness. If you can't control your fucking brain, the things you put into your body and your desires, then you're weak, and you need to learn to control them desires. So giving weak people a place to inject drugs with each other isn't good. Now, they don't just keep these rooms to heroin. It's injecting room. You can inject whatever you want in there. So they get cunts go in there and they start injecting ice. Now, if you inject heroin, you fucking fall asleep. You start injecting ice in there, you start bouncing off the walls, and you're going to run out next door to the fucking primary school that who knows? It becomes a very sticky situation. So, I don't think it should be encouraged. They congregate in these areas. Junkies will meet there. They, deals are done there. They'll congregate there, and trouble will basically brew there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. A lot of these cunts don't have jobs. They're out there fucking robbing people to get their drugs. So, you're going to get a heap of people that are criminals there. You're going to have a massive criminal element, and they're not respectable criminals. They're not, knockabouts like we call them in Australia. They're fucking scum, So they're not good people, and we shouldn't try to promote. If the coppers see them in a mass area, they should round them up and throw them in the back of the car and fucking drive them away. They're no loss on society. So I am liberal on the drugs, but I'm not liberal on junkies, and I don't think these junkies should be catered to.
With the location of these injecting rooms, I know that the Herald Sun and Sky News has been talking to locals who in the Flinders Street area, traders who are horrified by this. I saw the front page of the Herald Sun today was junkie town, and don't they know that in this PC world that junkie is hate speech? You're supposed to talk about persons with addiction or substance issues. Junkie is a slur. So the Herald Sun wasn't very sensitive with that headline. But all of these places, they all voted Labor and to a degree the Greens at the last state election. So you get what you deserve. I don't live in Richmond. I don't go to the CBD anymore because one of the only ways to get there is through public transport, and I don't want to wear a mask anymore. So that's avoiding public transport for me. Footscray, I wouldn't. I haven't been there in years. Dandenong, obviously, I've been there to a more frequent degree because it's near to Frankston, but I know that it's a dodgy area. Known as a dodgy area. I don't feel completely safe there. And St Kilda, St Kilda is, it's a shocking place at the moment. I mean, it was ground zero for the police state last year. There's been all those violent brawls at St Kilda Beach, all the worst people in modern culture seem to live and congregate there. So I don't care about St Kilda.
Yeah, look, St Kilda's always been, it's got what people would consider the good, the glitz and the glamour, and it's got the worst of society. I used to live at the Gatwick in St Kilda when I was younger. That was crazy. They had 6 murders there in 3 years. It was absolutely wild. So St Kilda's always had that underbelly, under fucking world sort of vibe about it. I think it's good the Herald Sun's calling them junkies. I don't think we should. It's good that they're not apologising. Fucking, we should shame people. We should shame fat people for being fat, and we should shame junkies for being junkies. So, I think it works. There's nothing more motivating than a little bit of shame. So I think without shame, people aren't motivated. Without shame, people get comfortable in their sort of their fucking gluttony or the degeneracy. So shaming them sort of tends to bring them out of that a little bit. So I don't think shame's necessarily a bad thing. So although 90% of what the Herald Sun publishes I disagree with, I actually don't mind the headline.
Now, although we've criticised the police in this country significantly and fairly in this program, we are going to end this program by significantly praising them because there is one important war that should never be surrendered, and that is the war against child abuse, exploitation, and pedophilia. And so this broke in the age on Monday that a Victorian man had been arrested and 14 children, including toddlers, have been rescued in the Philippines as part of their federal police operation into alleged child abuse. 6 girls and 8 boys aged between 2 and 17 were rescued on May the 7th and placed in the care of local social welfare after intelligence was provided by Australian police to Philippine authorities. The information also led to the arrest of 3 women and a man by Philippine National Police in Bombom, Canberra, for their alleged role in facilitators of online sexual abuse. The intelligence stemmed from an investigation into a 68-year-old man from regional Victoria was arrested and charged with possession of child abuse material in March. Police allege a computer seized from the man contained child abuse material and records of online chat conversations allegedly facilitating pay-per-view child abuse content in the Philippines. The investigation into the 68-year-old man is linked to the arrest by the Victorian Joint Anti-Child Exploitation Team of another Victorian man aged 67 who was arrested in early March and charged for allegedly playing for live distance child exploitation. That arrest led to the rescue of 9 children aged between 2 and 16 and the arrest of a woman in the Philippine authorities. During the rescue of the children last week, Philippines authorities seized digital devices containing child sexual exploitations, material, sex toy, and several money transfer receipts, which revealed foreigners and senders. Now, if you want to talk about neo-colonialism and exploitation of poor countries, there's the most horrendous example. I'm not sure how much you know about Australian men who pay poor Filipino families over there to have their children in this disgusting, abhorrent material. But yeah, I'm glad that these children were rescued. But it's sick that this industry is pervasive in the Philippines and that it's Australians that are feeding it.
Yeah, look, I don't know enough about it, but, everyone's heard the rumours. So, yeah, it's good. Like you said, where the left say all cops are bastards, that's obviously not true. And we need, we need good people to stop monsters like that. I don't think that's only the job of the police. I think anybody who is aware of any behaviour like that is accountable to do something about it. So, that's it's something that everybody should inspire to act towards. If you know anything like that, act about it. You can't let that be unsaid. So, good job. I'm glad they've done that, and hopefully the bloke dies a slow and painful death.
Crescio says that's why Melinda left Bill. Well, is talking about Melinda Gates leaving Bill Gates because it's coming to light now that Melinda, she had thoughts about divorce when she noticed how much time Bill Gates had spent with a deceased, convicted, known pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and it turns out that Bill Gates he was actually ousted from the Microsoft board, not resigned, because of an affair with a coworker. So that creepy nerd persona extends to his sexual inappropriateness as well.
Yeah, well, there's no real surprises there, is there? I think that everyone sort of expected that to come.
And this is only the first few weeks of the divorce proceedings, and this is obviously Melinda's lawyers team backgrounding, so there could be a whole lot more to come out about Bill.
Yeah, I'm sure there will over the years. I think it'll all roll off in like water off a duck's back, though. But we're getting to that time, Tim. Thank you very much, man, for organising everything.
Yeah,
as you always do.
It was a good, succinct discussion. We covered all the bases there. And to play us out tonight, where we're going to be debuting to our audience, well, it debuted an hour ago on your channel, your new song called In Trouble, which is the title of tonight's show.
It is. It's my first release. So yeah, I hope everybody likes it and share and subscribe to the channel and share it everywhere you can. It's definitely going to get me in trouble. The lyrics are quite provocative, but you know, fuck them. I have a lot more to come out soon too. So yeah, play it. Let's go. Thank you.
And I'll see you tomorrow night for Wilms Front feature. I'm going to be joined by British patriot, founder of Patriotic Alternative, Mark Collette, and you're back on Friday night with another Hard Knocks.
I am. Yep, Dennis is back on. I like Dennis. Dennis the Russian. Me and Dennis get on well. So we're going to chat about the war in the Ukraine and street fighting. So check that out. Dennis is a tough man. I can't wait to meet him in person. But yeah, check it out Friday night. I think I'll probably have. I think Mark's coming on my show the Friday after. So yeah, we'll just keep it rolling.
Thank you everyone for watching, and enjoy Jazz's song.
Cheers. Thank you, brother.
Oh, there's a sound issue there. Hang on, I'll fix it up.
Let's go.
I'll just play it straight from your channel.
All right, go for it. Whatever's easier. Still live. I know I'm still live, babe.
We're going so well until right at the end.
That's you. I thought you were onto it, Tim. You're you're supposed to be better at this technology. You should have had it all lined up.
Here we go. Here.
You got it?
Got it.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
Try to shut me down cause you don't like the things I'm saying, but I ain't changing a thing cause I don't like the games you're playing. Try to take away my culture, give away my nation, but I won't lay down, so now you got yourself some confrontation. Try replacing my white face with these immigrants, man, that's racist. Check statistics if you want to see which culture's really rapist. Fact that white people's the most sophisticated of the races, and I know the Jews are never gonna let you hear these statements. Gonna keep my music based on those record labels hate this. Talk shit to my face, I'm gonna backstab bitches' faces. Let me send myself in court and now they're throwing out my cases. On myself in education, now I'm really fucking dangerous. Same has never been the aim, and now it's got me feeling anxious. Always remain strange to see my name on the front pages. It's outrageous what they write, but I don't see that bullshit changing. Use my face as the clickbait, but all their articles are basic. Call me monster, then support the murder of an unborn baby. They betray me like I'm crazy, cause I had the balls to say it. While the cowards walk away with the disgrace upon their faces, you won't give us back our rights, and then we'll stand and fucking take it. Truth hits a reaction like a shot of AstraZeneca. Try to talk like Seth Rich and they fuck around and bury ya. Selling out Australia like they have done to America. They bring in refugees and then diversify our area. When I look around I see the things that get scarier. Pushing this fear culture, trying to drum up mass hysteria. Killing us with vaccines and they sell it like they care for ya. When you tell them to get fucked, they really ain't prepared for ya. Stand out from the crowd and then they all just point and stare at you. They swear at ya. Tell their friends to watch out and beware of ya. We're aware when we don't care, and that's what's really scaring ya. Trying to fight unite with what we're taking back our area. What lives matter, that doesn't mean you are a barbarian. I'm fighting for my heritage, defender of the Aryan. Now I'm backed by many men that say they need to stand and fend the wolf life off from the gate again. We can't pretend this ain't the end. Ain't my fate to break or bend. Won't take a knee or make amends. Won't take a deal or fake a friend. Ain't no mistake, they hate my pen. I comprehend my words offend, and they will send a nation to engage my end and frame my friends and blame their meds, but they forget I play to win.